Thanks for joining us at Hewlett High School for today's Varsity Media Sports Network presentation of Long Island High School Lacrosse. I'm Gavin Shaw, joined by Ben Turchin. Ben, we have a very even matchup today. The Hewlett Bulldogs 6-3 on the season, playing exceptionally well against a tough schedule, taking on the Carey Seahawks, who at 3-5 have struggled a little bit, but looking to get back on track today, still aiming for a top seed in their lead. And now let's take a look at the starting lineups for these two groups. We're going to start with the road team, the Carey Seahawks. And you see a lot of youth, but a lot of talent on that front line. Jimmy O'Connell, their leader, just a sophomore, probably the most talented guy on this team. Michael Ferrone, Connor Murray, Matt Gagan, Tim Curtin, Tyler Durrell, Ben Wetstein, Nick Cohen, Joseph Tadero, an all-conference performer just a season ago. Robert Floor, replacing a legend. He's had himself a nice season, coached by Tom Aiello. And then we'll look at Hewlett, who also has had to replace a lot of talent with All-American Alex Vardaro heading to Princeton last season, and they also lost All-County Midi Gavin Adler, but still a lot remaining, Ben. You see Ryan May, Jordan Epstein, Sam Rover, Robert Levitz, Jonathan Miller, Vincent Morello, Matt Weiss, Mitchell Silverman, Ian Akreech, and Max May in goal, and he's been one of the best in the conference this season.
Gavin, we are going to have an unbelievable contest today. This is two very evenly matched teams. I think both teams coming in, like you said, have 6 wins apiece. Both teams want to win today. It's league play in conference. Not only is it a conference game, but it's also a class game, too. These teams could face each other in the postseason. So we've got a great matchup. It's our second game of 3 games this week. Of course, tomorrow we're at Bethpage, Farmingdale Bethpage, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, Gavin. We're looking forward to this one right here.
And this Hewlett team, so possession-oriented. The opening face-off, you normally don't think of it as sort of a pivotal moment, but we really expect this to be a low-scoring game, Ben. So you kind of figure first team to control the ball. It's not going to decide the game in any way, but it is sort of significant in terms of setting a tone. So it's Hewlett in white, Carey, the road team, in orange. Again, Hewlett 6-3 on the year. The Seahawks 3-5. Hewlett, their head coach, Jesse Corbin, saying he's getting calls from coach after coach every single game asking, how'd you win? How'd you pull this off? They were not expected, Ben, to be quite this competitive this season after losing the All-American Vardaro, and yet they're one of the better teams on the island in terms of record through 9 games.
Must be something in the water here at Hewlett, because the girls' program is off to a great start under Jackie Hughes. Of course, Gavin, you and I had that game only a week ago at Bethpage where the girls win, and Hewlett has 6 wins on the season and only about 4 or 5 left to play here. So you're right. This whole program here at Hewlett is really on the upswing.
And perhaps even more impressive for Hewlett, they've done it these last 5 games without the services of their all-county midi Ethan Cohen, who went down with a broken ankle. He's out for the season. Vincent Morello, number 1 in white, out there replacing him as Carey controls the ball.
By the way, if you're just tuning in and don't know anything about Carey, how about those chrome helmets? So shiny with the orange uniforms. Very sharp, Gavin.
Yeah, gorgeous. You love the color contrast for both these teams. It's really just it's an aesthetically pleasing matchup.
Hewlett, of course, in the Bulldogs in the white and blue today.
You see at the top of that attack, number 1 and number 24, Jimmy O'Connell, just a sophomore, already 30 points on the season, 17 goals, 13 assists, and Connor Murray, number 24 in orange, is his running mate, 24 points on the year, 19 goals, 5 assists. So those two really well balanced, and they'll both be back next season with Murray just being a junior.
And you mentioned that this is a young team for Carey. I'm sure we'll announce a lot of sophomores and juniors here today. And you also said a defensive battle, and look what we've seen here so far. We're already 90 seconds into the game. Do we even have a shot on goal yet?
No, it's distinctly different than what we were looking at yesterday in that Lynbrook-Locust Valley game, where Locust Valley just overwhelmed Lynbrook in the early going, and throughout that first half had 9 goals. It might be surprising if we get 9 goals between these two teams for the game. Carey finally able to draw some defense and put a shot in the back of the net. Matt Gagan, the all-conference performer from last season, the Mercy commit, getting started on a high note.
Gagan, what a shot, going low, almost falling down. We'll get another look at this one. Just a great way to get going here if you are the Seahawks on the road. Let's take one more look. There you go. The extra pass and falling through underneath a low shot. And it works.
All set up by Michael Ferrone, another sophomore, drawing the defense on that interior, kicking it out to Murray, who tic-tac-toed it over to Gagan for the finish. And perhaps even more impressively, they beat Max May on their first shot. The Hewlett goalie, considered one of the best in the conference this season for the majority of the year, leading the conference both in terms of saves and save percentage, all the way up to 117 saves through just 9 games on the season. So now Hewlett on a rush. That's Robert Levitt. And you see the ball swing around rapidly before it's covered up by the goaltender,
still
Robert
alive,
Floor.
Though. He wasn't sure what was going on there. Robert Floor wasn't sure. But there, he did get it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either. I thought he had it initially. So now you're seeing Joseph Todaro charge back the other way.
See Hewlett's defense again, although Carey is setting up their offensive set here, but Hewlett's defense with the sticks up.
Again, that's really the strength of this Hewlett team. A great goaltender, but a really strong defense in front of him. Talking to their coach, Jesse Corbin, pregame, he said they're going to come out in man, try and see if they can match up with Carey one-on-one, and if the Seahawks give them some trouble, maybe switch into a zone as this one goes along. And it'll be interesting. Obviously, that first possession really promising for the Seahawks.
You know, Carey's another one of those teams like we talked about yesterday. That 3-6 record that they have right now, they're a better team than 3-6. They've had some difficulty. They played Garden City. I know they beat Locust Valley. Played Massapequa first game of the season. I know Tom Aiello always likes a tough schedule non-league to get his team prepared for the playoffs. So even though, Gavin, they're 3-6, it's a much better Seahawk team.
Right, and again, the emphasis with this Carey group, you just got to remember how young they were. All these sophomores, it's as talented as they are, it's the first time they have to play that type of role as sort of the alpha dogs on this team. And it's kind of a new situation for guys like Jimmy O'Connell, even a Connor Murray who's a junior. He's never had quite this level of responsibility.
A lot of sophomores and a lot of juniors on the team for Carey. I mean, Tom Aiello thinks this team's going to be pretty good, if not this year, although I think they'll be playoff bound in the next couple of years. Carey will be a team to be reckoned with in Class B. They always are anyways, Gavin. They're always a good program. So
Morello circles the crease dangerously before sending it out to Johnny Miller, one of the stars of this Hewlett Bulldogs group at 6'1", about 185 pounds. He's an absolute load. You don't see too many lacrosse players, even on the island, built like that, and he's been effective. 25 points, 16 goals, 9 assists on the year for number 9 in white.
Let's see what Hewlett can do offensively here. Look to see they get something going with about 7:30 to go here in the first quarter.
So Miller tries to draw 2 defenders. We were just talking about how the record for Carey is a little bit deceptive because you see how young their team is and how they're getting better and better as the season goes along. And I think that's what makes Hewlett's here so impressive. They're operating under a lot of the same conditions, lost an All-American, lost another All-County player, and yet they're 6-3 on the year with a relatively young group, and perhaps even more importantly than their youth, the fact that none of these guys really had to play with this level of responsibility in years past, Ben.
Well, I think that speaks to Jesse Corbin, the type of coach that he is and the program that he's running. He's only been here for a couple of years, and look what he's got going on with Hewlett as we get a goal.
Yeah, Johnny Miller just mentioned his name. How about that charge against such a physical presence and a lightning bolt of a shot?
Yeah, that was a long shot, too. Coming off the right side, we'll get another look at that. Look at him off the right with the power. Across his body, low shot. Always seems to be a successful play when you go low against the goalie. And a great job on the replay there by Chris, the birthday boy today. I want to give a shout-out to our director, producer. Doing a great job. Happy birthday, Chris.
Yeah, shout-out to Chris, as always. Does an excellent job for us. Johnny Miller, and it's him and Sam Rovner that really lead them in terms of goal scoring. Miller with 16, Rovner with 23 on the season, the SUNY Cortland commit. And for both those guys, they're operating in a completely different paradigm than they did last season. Just talking to Jesse Corbin, he was really emphasizing last year they could kind of rely on Alex Verdaro. This is how good Verdaro was to draw double and even triple teams at points. And really their only objective offensively was to be in the right position when those triple teams came to receive the ball and just put away an easy shot. This year, entirely different, creating most of their own offense, and we've seen it here. They've been really, really dynamic already.
And I think we're going to get an opportunity for Hewlett here offensively as they go man up. You got a foul there by Ray Bedayan, Bedian, rather, I apologize, number 15 for Carey with a cross check. And here comes Hewlett now, man up, have an opportunity.
And again, this is a Hewlett team that just simply doesn't beat themselves. It's something that Tom Aiello noted, and you see it right here. They take advantage of all their opportunities as Rovner adds the second goal for the Bulldogs.
Well, it wasn't going to be long before Sam Rovner got in on the action. This is a guy who had 7 goals in an overtime win against Kellenberg, and he'll come off the right side, and nothing you can do about that when you're man down.
Yeah, really nice look from Jordan Epstein, who's one of their better ball movers. Just 2 goals on the season, but 6 assists for Epstein. That's exactly what he likes to do, and it was a beautiful little duck-in from Rovner. And again, this is just a team that whenever they have a chance like that, they seem to take advantage of it time after time after time. So we expected this one to be really low scoring, and yet just over or just under halfway through quarter number 1, we have 3 goals.
Well, sometimes you have expectations and they get thrown out the window early on in the game. A lot of times you hear a defensive battle and then the offense shows up, and who knows, we might get an offensive showdown here today. We had, 22 goals yesterday in the Lynbrook-Locust Valley game. So maybe these boys saw that and said, hey, we want to break that scoring record.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've played a lot of defensive battles all season. Everyone expected this one to be of that ilk, and they said, you know what, let's go a little bit against that. I mean, obviously the EMO helps in the early going for Hewlett, but that first goal, just an isolation beauty from Johnny Miller. It's an opportunity to get another one here. And this is kind of Jordan Epstein's role in the offense. They just expect him to handle, take some time off the clock, and keep the ball moving, and that's sort of the beauty of Jesse Corbin's system. Not everyone has to be spectacular. You just have to do your job, be solid, and set up the guys who do the goal scoring, like this man right here, Sam Rovner.
All right, it's all part of the offensive system put in by Jesse Corbin and his staff, and it's worked, obviously. 6 wins on the season with some big wins during the year, so they know what they're doing offensively.
And again, it's been a little bit different since Ethan Cohen came down because, along with Miller, he was essentially their most important player in terms of the ability to do everything. Is that one from Miller missed net? I'm not quite sure if it was a pass or a shot, but they've really gotten a lot out of junior midi Vincent Morello, who scored 9 goals since coming over from defense.
We'll take the goal scoring anywhere you can get it.
And most of the people we were talking to pregame, a lot of Hewlett insiders were telling us they expect this game to be really, really competitive. Again, this Carey team, highly talented despite that record. And Hewlett, maybe, if anything, I don't want to say playing over their heads, but a lot of people surprised by how good they've been. So this is a really interesting test for Hewlett. They've beaten some of the best teams in the league. Can you knock off a Carey team that is, if not playing for their season, playing in a game they very much need to win?
And you look at common opponents. How about both of the teams on the field today beat Locust Valley? I mean, we just saw Locust Valley yesterday and how well of a game they played. So you obviously know the kind of talents on this field today.
Yeah, Locust Valley, I mean, I can only speak for myself, and I haven't seen nearly as much as you've been, but one of the more explosive offenses I've seen in the last 2 seasons of doing this. They were really, really coordinated, played at such a high tempo that you're frankly not going to see in this game, and whether that's a product of better defense or Locust Valley's talent is hard to tell, but you can't argue with the results. Both these teams knocking them off.
You know what it is? In Long Island, especially Nassau County, you're going to talk about your top teams that everybody knows about: Cold Spring Harbor, Massapequa, Syosset, Garden City, Manhasset, right? But there are other programs in Nassau County that maybe don't get the same amount of publicity and love that they deserve, like a Locust Valley, like a Lynbrook, and these 2 teams on the field today, even Farmingdale and Bethpage that we'll see tomorrow. So there's a lot of talent in Nassau County. We're not telling anybody anything you don't know. But, you know, it's nice to be able to promote other teams that are having great seasons or have the talent anyways that we think and expect them to be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And we expect both of these teams to be in the playoffs, regardless of the outcome today. Somehow, some way, I would expect the Carey Seahawks to find their way in. I mean, it seems like every year they at least get to the quarterfinals under Tom Aiello.
Yeah, and Hewlett has made it the last decade under Jesse Corbin, so they should certainly end up there once again. So infraction, according to the official, will give the ball back to the Bulldogs.
Man, I can't get over this Seahawk chrome helmet. It's so shiny. It's so glaring.
Yeah.
It's right in our face. It's a beautiful sunny day today.
Yeah. It's always what you see that first weekend of college football where teams really throw the helmets out. I know Virginia Tech, TCU some years, and it's funny. It's coming over to the high school lacrosse level. It really is a good look, and you love to see it on camera, but in person it really stands out.
Yeah, Carey in their bright orange uniforms today. I think it's the first time I've ever seen Carey decked out like this. But, hey, if they were dressing up for the live stream broadcast, we appreciate that.
You got to show out when you're on Varsity Media.
There you go. Of course, all our streams live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Varsity Media, as you're watching it right now, and we thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for updates throughout the course of the season, and we should let you know we did tinker with our schedule a little bit. It's breaking news. We'll display it for everybody today. A little bit later in the season, you'll see some changes, and we'll get to that at some point.
And the best part about it, Ben, we were just talking to some of the parents. You can go back and watch the games. If you miss part of it, you can see earlier parts of the game. If you have a family member not able to catch it live, maybe at work, you can just send it on over to them, and they can watch the entire game back.
Absolutely. All of our games are on our YouTube channel and will stay on our YouTube channel.
So that's Logan Abalifa, who's on the ball. Not a guy who gets a ton of minutes for Hewlett, but that injury to Ethan Cohen has forced Jesse Corbin to go deeper in his bench, and it works out there. Abalifa connecting with Johnny Miller for his second goal.
All right, Johnny Miller with 2 goals here to get Hewlett going, now taking a commanding 3-1 lead in the first quarter.
What a nice pass, too, by Abalifa off the bench. A really good look for Miller.
Yeah, that was a great pass by him. Number 12, Logan Abalifa, getting that going there. Give him the credit. I know Miller with his second goal today, but without Abalifa, I don't think that happens.
No, absolutely not. And it's sort of the beauty of this Hewlett group. Obviously, they loved having Alex here last year, who's now playing at Princeton and having a heck of a season. But it has given them the opportunity to sort of explore the fullest extent of the roster. Jesse Corbin saying the motto this season, there's no one of us that's as strong as all of us. It's a good message, but it's really been playing out for this Hewlett team, and we're seeing it today as they continue a year that has surprised most of the coaches on Long Island in terms of how excellent they've been, but at this point it just seems to be reality. This is a group to be feared.
And we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because obviously there's a lot of game left to play here. But, I just look at their upcoming schedule. I see Garden City in a couple of weeks, that Hewlett-Garden City matchup. If they get by Carey today, which not saying they will, a lot of time left in this game, only up 3-1, that's going to loom as a big-time contest here in Conference B and Class B.
Little duck in, nearly a goal there. Michael Ferrone, an excellent opportunity on net, but great hustle on the other side of it by Matthew Weiss, perhaps the best athlete on that Hewlett team, able to win that race to the sideline.
I think Ferrone just ran out of angle there as he came close to the post and tried to go wide, and just the angle was too tough for him on that shot, but it was a good idea.
So now you see the speed from Vincent Morello. Again, a guy who was mostly playing defensively, but you see the type of athlete that could be argued belongs on offense. He's really stepped up since Cohen's gone down.
Now they slow things up, does Hewlett?
And I was sort of surprised by how fast they came out, Ben, because just talking to Jesse Corbin, he's saying their ethos is we just want to control the ball. We're okay being patient. We want to pass it around. We want to really take a lot of time off the clock, and they've been operating in a relatively quick-hitting fashion. If anything, Carey's been the more patient team, though they haven't possessed the ball very much since the opening minute or two of this game.
Yeah, well, you see May is going to slow things down, or at least they're going to hold for the last shot of the quarter.
Final 7 seconds or so. Ryan May looking for room. Has the ball forced out. It's going to be a Hail Mary attempt by Levitz, who gets it off. It goes in, but late on the deflection. So that's how we finish up quarter number 1. A 3-1 lead for the Hewlett Bulldogs over the Carey Seahawks here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Back to action at Hewlett High School, a 3-1 lead after one for the Hewlett Bulldogs, 6-3 on the season. Known for their defense this year, and we expected this, Ben, to be a very defensively oriented game, coming out with an explosion offensively.
3 goals in the first quarter. Jesse Corbin and his staff will absolutely take that. Still going to be a dogfight here. Carey's not giving up by any stretch. It's still early in a close game, so I think we're still going to have a good one here before it's all said and done.
Yeah, just for some context and perhaps some hope for Carey in this one, Hewlett has had just one game this season where they've scored over 8 goals, and that was in a triple overtime win over Kellenberg. They have not scored over 8 goals in a regulation game, so this amount of offense, a little bit irregular for the Bulldogs, and you wonder how sustainable it is, and maybe they're just going to have their best offensive game of the season. We'll find out right now in the second quarter.
It's the beautiful thing about live sports. You never know. You can't predict it. That's why they play the games. One thing for sure, we got a gorgeous day here at Hewlett. I mean, the sun is out. It's a beautiful day. Great day for lacrosse.
Absolutely beautiful.
And if you're Tom Aiello and you're Carey, you're not in a difficult position here. Obviously, you don't want to give up a goal right here, but 3-1 after the first quarter, you're on the road. You're not out of this game. I mean, you can make some adjustments, a couple of goals either way, and you're right back into it. So, I don't think Tom Aiello is absolutely – if you would ask him right now, Gavin, how do you feel right now? I don't think he's absolutely frustrated with the way his team is playing. I think at some point you'll start to see them get moving.
I'm in total agreement right now. They just haven't been able to possess the ball very much. And that trend will continue. Good chase down that time by Ryan May, the Muhlenberg commit, brother of Max, who's also headed to Muhlenberg.
Yeah, Max in net, Ryan on the attack, and they'll have an opportunity to play collegiate ball together. And how great is that? Your brother's on the high school team, and then you continue on at the collegiate level. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, those two have played together for years and years and years, and you see it paying off there. The jump shot goes down for Ryan May, doing his best Michael Jordan impersonation, flying in front of net and putting it home.
That was all May. He made that whole thing happen. He hustled for the ball, like you had said a couple of minutes ago, and nothing doing so much on offense. So he said, you know what? Come on, guys, jump on my back. I'll take this around the post and in. That's a Michael Jordan-esque type shot if I've ever seen one. Fantastic job.
Yeah, he just sort of hung up there. It was kind of that classic Air Jordan-y pose from Ryan May. Pretty good look from him. And
I wonder if he's sticking his tongue out when he took that shot.
I don't know. We have to. We just saw we have our camera guy here. So
we'd have to get in really tight on that one.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out. A tall task for our production team. But it really, I mean, not just the fact that Ryan and Max have. I mean, just inherently by the fact of being brothers, played together for so long. They played under Jesse Corbin for such a long time because he's the elementary school phys ed coach. So he's known most of these players since they were about 6 or 7. Which is just incredible to think about.
It always helps when the coach is in the district. When he's in the school building, that always helps. Kids obviously look up to their coaches as leaders. And it's, not that it can't be done because it's very popular and happens a lot where you have a coach from a different district that comes in for practice and whatnot. But like I said, Jesse's here. He's at Hewlett. He sees the kids. The kids know him. And I think that's a big help towards their success.
Yeah, just the idea of Jesse Corbin seeing a second grader and seeing one of them run or dominate in like kickball or dodgeball or something and just thinking to himself, you know what, in 10 years, I can't wait to coach this kid again. And sometimes that actually coming to fruition, it's pretty amazing. And it just shows you how special it is to be, as you said, a long-tenured coach in the same district that you're coaching in.
Absolutely. He's making mental notes as he sees those younger kids. Here's another jump shot that goes.
Vincent Morello this time, his 10th goal of the season. And what a story Vincent Morello is. We mentioned it earlier on, starting this season as a long pole. Ethan Cohen breaks his ankle. And it was fascinating talking to Jesse Corbin about Ethan Cohen, because he's saying, he's one of the leaders of this team, one of 2 or 3 guys on this team that can do everything for us. Didn't really think he was replaceable, but Vincent Morello doing his absolute best and doing a good job right now. 5 goals already for the Hewlett Bulldogs. An unprecedented offensive start for them, and they are in total control on the Varsity Media Sports Network. So an unbelievable start for the Hewlett Bulldogs, 5-1 lead over the Carey Seahawks. We were talking about it pregame, Ben. We've done 3 games together at this point. We thought for certain this was going to be the most competitive one yet, and it still could be, but so far all Hewlett in the early going.
Hewlett's a great team, and I think that they're just showing this what they're capable of here. I didn't know that we'd expect to start at 5-1. I think Carey's got to really get it going here. You don't want to fall too far behind too early in the game, still plenty of time. But I'm going to look for Tom Aiello and the Carey Seahawks to rebound here and put a couple in here before it's all said and done.
Well, and a prime opportunity for Carey here, because their biggest issue, they haven't been able to win in that face-off circle.
Well, here's Jimmy O'Connell. That's their go-to guy, only a sophomore, but obviously has a lot of stats this year, a lot of goals. They need to get him going.
It's been such a game of possession. Hewlett has absolutely dominated that category, and it sounds fairly dumb to say, but if you don't have the ball, it's impossible to score. So an opportunity for Carey here to get back into it.
And if you're Tom Aiello right now, you've got to find one. Where is one on the field? He's got to have the ball in his stick. And right now he's on the near side of the field, and let's see if they work it around to him.
Matt Gagan, number 26, got the opening goal of this one. It was the very first goal of the game. It's been 5 straight for Hewlett since then.
And I know Carey's being very careful right now, very methodical, but I'd like to see a couple more shots on goal with them here down 5-1. There's O'Connell. Let's see if he makes a move.
It's interesting. They're almost playing how we expected Hewlett to play. And losing the ball that time was Dean Metzger, a highly talented freshman, but still just a freshman.
And you don't get anything out of that. So that's why that was a tough possession, because not only do they have a turnover, but they didn't even get a shot on goal.
What a great handle there by Mark Winkler, another freshman. Again, for both these teams, you see a lot of talented underclassmen. Both lost a lot of experience, a lot of production off of last year's teams. And because of it, you see some of these young guys getting an opportunity they otherwise wouldn't for programs as renowned as these two.
Gavin, I hate to stress it too much, but you've talked about how good defensively Hewlett is. And when you have an opportunity in your offensive zone, at least to get a shot on goal and to get a turnover instead, that's detrimental. So really, when Carey comes down offensively, we really need to pay attention a little bit more and see what they're doing with their offensive sets, because Jimmy O'Connell, I'm surprised at this point, doesn't have more shots on goal.
The biggest thing is it's been such a small sample size so far. They've had 2, maybe 3 possessions that have lasted longer than about 20 seconds. And you would think that would be an even bigger emphasis going up against a goalie like Max May, widely considered to be one of the best goaltenders on the island, rated as one of the top 100 players, period, on Long Island. You got to take a certain number of shots against him to make anything happen, as the nice check from behind there by Patrick McGrath, a name we haven't said a whole lot, but one of the more dynamic defenders for this Carey group, making a big-time play when they needed it most, and here's Jimmy O'Connell on the ball.
Well, O'Connell's got to go. I mean, here's an opportunity where it's an unsettled defense. You can't be selfless here. Be a little selfish. Get that ball and run to the cage and make something happen. You're the playmaker.
Instead, they continue to be, as you put it, methodical. Michael Ferrone on the ball, swinging it over to Metzger. Metzger, an interesting story himself, a freshman lefty midi, 10 points already on the season. He is one of the youngsters that they are highest on. Obviously, O'Connell and Murray have more production, as does Ferrone, but Metzger is Metzger in his first season showing off really good speed, very athletic, has had a couple of monster games. They think he's the type of guy that could potentially go on to play in college.
Well, the Hewlett's defense has been that good where they've stretched out Carey this far back, almost at midfield here, or they're setting up some sort of offensive play. But like you've said before, down 5-1, about 6 minutes left in the second quarter, Carey's got to make something happen here offensively.
And you see the aggressiveness from Hewlett defensively, really going after those checks, but now it's blown dead. Matthew Weiss had a really nice one from behind.
Yeah, and the timeout, I think, by Coach Aiello here, I think, let's keep it here for a second, because I think it's a good timeout. A couple of ground balls there, Carey fortunate to get it back. But if you're coach right now, I think he's probably seeing what we're seeing up here. Guys, we got to figure it out offensively. We're too good. We know we can put the ball in the cage and get something going here. I don't know what that could be. That's why they're the coaches and we're the announcers, Gavin. But they got to come up with something here on that. I think they need it right now. Don't you think they need to go right now?
No, and I think that's why you see the urgency from Aiello. You typically don't see timeouts called within the flow of the offense like that, but I think you hit the nail on the head. The reason Tom Aiello is taking it is because they haven't been able to put together those coherent passing sequences. So what do you think has to change specifically for Carey, Ben? Is it just about being more decisive, or do you look for someone specifically to get the ball?
Yeah, I look for Jimmy O'Connell, flat out, number one, sophomore attackman. We talked about it before on the possession where they had the turnover, and then we talked about on the unsettled man, on the transition, he had an opportunity and passed it off. Now, I don't know philosophically if Coach agrees with us up here on that, but, how many goals does O'Connell have this year?
Yeah, 17 more, and here's the thing, 13 assists, so he knows when he draws the defense how to play off it, and that's a really viable strategy because he's such a good Dodger that he's able to make stuff happen without a lot of momentum. And you don't see too many guys like that on this level who can create something out of nothing, but Jimmy O'Connell, as an underclassman, he's capable of doing just that.
Right, so even you talk about the assists, at least put the ball in his stick. At least let him be the creator, be the point guard here on the offense, and let's see what they do. I mean, Coach Aiello clapping his hands, thinks he's got something good going on here, looking for some momentum, and we'll just have to wait and see. But obviously, Carey right now needs something. They need a goal. They don't need something. They need a goal.
Yeah, Michael Ferrone, another really interesting option, number 7, a sophomore, has 24 points, 11 goals, 13 assists on the season. But I think the most impressive statistic for him is taken 31 shots this year, 25 of them have been on target.
That's a good percentage.
Very healthy.
And you could tell the play has been called here as they're already setting things up. But Hewlett's defense seems to be up to the task.
Hewlett, they play very contained. They're almost trying to convince you to shoot from out wide, and anytime you come closer, which is seemingly has been what Carey's waiting for, there isn't really a lot of space. And you see how quickly Hewlett gets to the ball.
Hewlett has been, look at the sliding. They've done a great job here playing zone right now. They've done a really nice job, and it's made it difficult for Carey. There's no two ways. But, Gavin, put a shot on net. See what happens. Get a rebound. Get closer to the goal. Have to make something happen here.
You can see from Carey's perspective, though, every time they even look to shoot, there's 4, 5, 6 white jerseys in their direct line of vision. Hewlett just refuses to go too far out of net. Now you see the shot, and you see the goal from far out. Matt Gagan, his second, and they absolutely needed that one.
And that's the right play by Gagan. Make something happen. We've talked about it for the past 2 minutes. I'm sure our audience is getting sick of it already. But here's an opportunity. Look, you're on the 25-yard line, close to the 30-yard line. Yeah, maybe that's not the best shot, but take a shot. See what happens. And he got lucky there. There's no interference on the shot. Fire low, and you get a goal. You have to do that. You have to make something happen, create. And that's what Gagan did right there.
Yeah, Gagan, what a great trajectory on that shot to not let it bounce before it hit net. Right. Really knew exactly how much he had to put on that one. So he gets his second goal of the game, and a little bit of life for Carey, down by 3 with 5 minutes to go in the half. Carey again coming into this one, having lost 2 in a row after completing their first winning streak of the season. 16-3 blowout over Baldwin, then a 9-8 win that we mentioned on April Fool's Day at Locust Valley. And then the schedule got a little tougher. There was they traveled to take on a Calhoun team that's has one of their best groups in the last couple of years, and then the typically powerful Garden City unit, they fell 12-5 on April 12th.
Another penalty there for Carey, and I think they're man down for a minute. And, you hate to see that if you're Coach Aiello getting a goal to make it 5-2, and then a second later, now you're man down. So Carey's going to have to play some great defense here.
And these are the opportunities Hewlett has thrived in all year. The story of this Bulldogs team is that they do not beat themselves, and they wait for other teams to make mistakes, and they seem to take advantage of it just about every time. Good ducking in front of net, and not even getting a chance to turn around to see it was Robert Floor that time.
How did Sam Rovner put this through, Gavin? What a goal. I mean, we have to take another look at this. I don't even know how this went in. I mean, no angle.
Yeah, our camera didn't barely even caught it. He almost shot it, I think, behind his shoulder because his body was essentially parallel to that left pole.
That's one of those, we look at each other like, how did that go in?
Yeah, that's why you heard the second of hesitation. And Robert Floor, he never flinched.
Yeah, he didn't even see it go. That was just such a quick trigger by Sam Rovner there, one of Hewlett's leading goal scorers, and you can tell why. Unbelievable.
And that's what makes this Bulldogs team so impressive.
Yep.
We keep talking about it, but so many times you just hear that, and it's kind of a cliche. Oh, they take advantage of opportunities. Literally, they've had 2 EMOs. Right. They've gotten 2 goals on those 2 EMOs.
Not only have they executed both for 100%, but they have balanced scoring somewhat. Rovner with 2, Miller with 2, and then you got May and Morello with a goal apiece. So it's not one guy doing all of the work. It's a balanced approach.
Well, we'll see if that urgency we saw last possession from Carey continues on. As Tim Curtin circles on the ball, the senior midi in off the bench, showing a little bit of energy. Things slow down here for a second, under 4 minutes until halftime now.
See what Gagan does from the top.
You hear Jesse Corbin from the sideline telling his defense to really stay condensed here. What do you see from Hewlett defensively that makes them so special?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. They're condensing, they're getting in, they're closing out any lane. Anybody watching right now can tell there are no lanes to fire from for Carey right now. Yeah. And that's why I said sometimes when that's a situation, the best thing you can do is just take a shot, see what happens. Maybe you'll get a long rebound and put in an easy shot. I mean, obviously the percentages will say the goalie will save it, but you never know. And at this point, what do you have to lose? You're down by 4. With 3 minutes to go here in the half, have a couple of shots on goal.
Yeah, you feel like Matt Gagan, the one guy in that group who continues to be really aggressive. Every time he touches it, he's looking to shoot, and it basically has to not be an option for him to hesitate. Everyone else just seemingly content to swing the ball around, and you're moving this Hewlett defense. I guess theoretically you're tiring them out a little bit, but the Bulldogs, in such good condition, it feels like they're moving just as well now as they were on the opening whistle.
Yeah, you'd like to see a couple more dodges right there. You had it for a second by Gagan, and then he passed it back up. But, there you go. You had a cut right there. It didn't work out. But those are the kinds of things that Carey needs to do.
Yeah, now you create this scramble, and official's going to blow it dead. But an opportunity there, proactive from Connor Murray, who has 19 goals on the season, their leading scorer. And it'll stay with Carey.
I mean, 4 goals is not that big of a deficit in the game of lacrosse. I mean, you can very easily put 3 on the board in a minute or so. We've seen it many a time. So Carey's they're still in the game.
That one ripped from Michael Ferrone and straight into the net of Max May's stick.
That shot was a little bit high, probably wanted it lower. Here's an interception.
Yeah, nice pickoff there defensively for Nick Cowan. Or Nick Cowan, excuse me. Transition opportunity. It's an unsettled defense, and that's why it pays to have one of the best goaltenders on the island, Max May, shutting down that one. And you see the athleticism from May, dodging his way out of trouble. Hewlett trying to ride, and it'll stay with the... Carey trying to ride, and it'll stay with the Bulldogs.
Well, Hewlett called the timeout there. That was good. But I want to take a second. Ferrone with 2 shots on goal, both a little bit high. I think if he could have those again, Gavin, he would take those a little bit lower. We've seen Max May get beat on the low trajectory shots. Gagan had 2 of those. And on that opportunity there, just a little high. Good idea. Get those down low a little bit. I think you might get a little bit of a different result.
A great note and a lesson for Ben Ferrone, as he's just an underclassman. He's been a star, but going up against a tough Hewlett team right now. His Seahawks down by 4 on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Just under 2 minutes to go until halftime, and we got to see a little bit of the athleticism for Max May there. He's known to do just that, come out of goal. Some coaches would get a little queasy when they see their goalie running around with it, but Jesse Corbin actually loves it when Max May comes out of net. He's such a good athlete. He thinks it really helps him in those clears.
Never know what could happen when a goalie comes out of net. Most coaches, I think, would be a little nervous. But when you have a leader like Max May, I think you put your trust in him that he's going to get the job done.
And you see Mitchell Silverstein now with that long stick trying to escape trouble.
Great hustle by Carey, though, all over them.
Yeah, but Silverstein able to draw their defense in, and a timeout taken by Hewlett as Silverstein gets some props for getting it onto their side of the field, and we'll take another quick break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. So Hewlett, one final chance to add on to what has been their best offensive half of the season with 6 goals against this Carey Seahawks team. Again, it's Gavin Shaw, Ben Turchin with you. We were going through it earlier in the game, but there's only been 4 games, or excuse me, 5 if you count the OT one this season, where Hewlett has gone over 6 goals, only 2 where they've gone over 7 in regulation. And with 6.5, turning the corner a little bit offensively are the Hewlett Bulldogs in this one against the Carey team that has a lot of talent on the defensive side of the field, but Hewlett just continuing to possess the heck out of that ball, and it's been a lot of time for the Seahawks on defense.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Hewlett doesn't slow it down a little bit here. We're under a minute to go in the first half with a 4-goal lead.
And Johnny Miller doing just that. He already has 2 goals.
Yeah, it's too early. In case you're wondering, folks, who is the Igloo Lacrosse player of the game today? It's way too early for us to decide that one.
Miller, one of the smarter kids, period, in Hewlett High School, not just on the lacrosse team. His head coach, Jesse Corbin, saying he could go to school essentially wherever he wants, perfect or near perfect score on the ACT, and obviously he'll have a lot of interest in schools trying to get him to play lacrosse on the next level as well, and you're about to see why. A lot of size, a lot of speed.
I think Jesse's not looking to get rid of him too quick.
Yeah.
He's got another year of eligibility here at Hewlett.
Absolutely, and the pass-off target there. Clock stops at just under 9, so Carey, one last opportunity to Hail Mary. We've seen last-second goals to end halves in back-to-back games. A brilliant pass up the field, just unable to handle it that time was Connor Murray. But what a look by Matt Gagan. He actually got it onto his stick from about 50 yards out.
And so we end the first half, 6-2. And you called it, Gavin, a pretty defensive battle here today. Carey with 2 goals and Hewlett with 6, maybe a little bit more than we thought on their end, but they've been playing great. Give them a lot of credit. Ravner with 2, Miller with 2, and May and Morello a goal apiece. And we stand here 6-2.
So Carey got the opening goal. Matt Gagan gave them some momentum, and then it was 5 straight for Hewlett, who will go into the break with a 4-goal lead on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is the time to sign up with Varsity Media for this year's lacrosse season. We offer competitive filming rates for full season coverage of your team. Varsity Media also offers action photography during the lacrosse season as well. To learn more about our services, visit varsitymedia.net or give us a call today.
Welcome back. Halftime here at Hewlett High School. Our score, the Bulldogs 6 and the Carey Seahawks 2. Ben Turchin and Gavin Hall at half with about 7 minutes to go before we start half number 2. Wanted to give you an update on our remaining live stream broadcast schedule. We have our third game, 3 in a row tomorrow. Farmingdale visiting Bethpage. That we told you yesterday had got moved to a 6:30 start. It is back to a 4:30 start tomorrow. And those are two teams that know each other very well, just a town away from each other. And there'll be a very good cause for that game tomorrow, which we will share with you, including a very special halftime interview. So you're not going to want to miss that game. Farmingdale at Bethpage, and that is tomorrow. We'll be on a little bit of a break as the schools are out for spring break. And then when we get back on April 29th, under the lights, Wantagh and Cold Spring Harbor boys lacrosse. You're not going to want to miss that one on the 29th, and it only gets better, folks. Syosset visiting Massapequa on May 1st at 6 o'clock. That'll be a big-time Class A showdown, not to be missed. We'll get back to girls lacrosse on May 3rd when Wantagh visits North Shore in girls lacrosse action, a 4:30 start there. And we'll finish our regular season schedule with Locust Valley. You saw them yesterday, an unbelievable win, 15-7 over Lynbrook. This time they'll be on the road taking on the Floral Park Knights, who are off to a good start in their own right this year, and that will be May 8th. And we wanted to let you know that we will have playoff games as well this season. Can't tell you where, can't even give you the dates or the times. You're going to have to stay tuned for that. But that is our updated remaining game schedule, and we're looking forward to it. We thank you, as always, for tuning in to our live streams completely free on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/varsitymedia. And we ask, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It's completely free. It'll keep you updated throughout the course of the season. With that, we'll take another commercial timeout. 5:20 remaining here at halftime. We're back with more second half action after this on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is the time to sign up with Varsity Media for this year's lacrosse season. We offer competitive filming rates for full season coverage of your team. Varsity Media also offers action photography during the lacrosse season as well. To learn more about our services, visit varsitymedia.net or give us a call today.
Back to action here at Hewlett High School. Gavin Shaw, Ben Turchin here with you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. A 6-2 halftime lead for the Hewlett Bulldogs over the Carey Seahawks. Not necessarily the game we expected in half number one. Thought it was going to be exceptionally competitive, and even more so than that, low scoring from each of these two teams.
Yeah, and like you had mentioned before, Hewlett doesn't score a ton of goals. They're a defensive-minded team. They're out to a nice start here in the first half with 6. I think, if anything, maybe a little bit more surprising today, Gavin, on the Carey end. I thought, not that they're out of the game. It's only a 4-goal deficit. But I thought maybe it'd be a little bit closer. Maybe we'd have a few more goals on the Carey side. And I would expect that. Tom Aiello's a great coach, has been with the Seahawks for such a long time, and I would expect some halftime adjustments from the Seahawks.
Yeah, and what do you think specifically they need to change on the offensive end where they just haven't seemingly been able to get quality shots?
I just think it's what we talked about in the first half. I think you need some more playmaking abilities. I think you got to get creative offensively. Look, we know Hewlett's defense has been great, and I'm sure Tom would be the first to say it's cost his offense a little bit of fits here. They've condensed down. They've slid really well. All of the above on what Hewlett has done defensively. But look, you have to find a way, right? I mean, you just have to find a way to put shots on goal, and that's what Carey needs to do better here in the second half.
And we just saw a continuation of another one of Carey's biggest issues. It's been a lack of opportunities, just the inability to win in that face-off circle. And again, they start off the second half without the ball on defense.
So they're just going to have to play great defense here and get the ball back. And on the Hewlett side, if you're Jesse Corbin at halftime, the defense has been, I don't know what else you could say defensively. They held Carey to 2 goals. And offensively, 6 goals in the first half. Yeah, you balance it out, or you equate that out for a full game. That's 12 goals. That's going to get you a W most of the time here in Nassau County.
And we said it, this sort of a unique offensive performance from this Hewlett team. The only game this season they've scored more than 8 goals was the triple overtime win a couple weeks back over Kellenberg. So certainly a rarity, not a team that really plays in double digits very often. Their efforts so contingent on their defense, and in this one it's just been a real light show for this Hewlett offense. 2 goals apiece for the Stars, Sam Rovner and Johnny Miller, both of whom had some real highlights in that first half.
Yeah, Rovner with a jump shot goal.
Also had that one where he was seemingly behind the net and somehow found a way to get it to go. Looked possible, frankly, from where we were. And Robert Floor had the same reaction. He didn't blink, and all of a sudden he heard a whistle, and he said, what was that for?
Right, it was the how did that go in goal?
Yeah. Rovner trying to pull the same trick here, attempting to spin his way towards net. Rovner's almost like a bowling ball. He hits a defender, goes the other way, hits a defender, goes the other way, but you just can't quite take it away from him.
This is the way that the first half kind of started out early in the first quarter. Both teams kind of feeling each other out, slowing things down, and we're kind of seeing the same thing here to start the third.
And Hewlett, again, this is typically their MO. They were a little bit more aggressive than you usually see at the beginning of that first half, and obviously it paid dividends for them. But now this is what they like to do, all about time of possession for the Bulldogs.
And, of course, 2 of their goals was on man-up situations. You see a turnover there by Hewlett.
Yeah, Jordan Epstein on the infraction, so a chance for Carey to run. They'll do just that. A little more aggressive to open the second half. There's Patrick McGrath, the long stick defenseman, who's known for his abilities on the offensive end. He'll come off now. You see a couple substitutions on for Carey as they await patiently. It's the game for them. Matt Gagan, who had both of their goals in the first half, number 26 in orange. Gagan just ripped it on that second shot in particular, and it was much needed because outside of that, Max May in goal for Hewlett has been an absolute brick wall.
And you see Gagan doing his work from the top, making things happen, and that time was a nice interception and a ground ball.
And that's sort of the brilliance of this Hewlett defense, Ben. We see how patient they are and how willing they are to play back, but also able to force some turnovers.
I think that's all part of the defensive plan. If you ask Coach Corbin, I think defense starts with getting that ball on the ground, recovering those ground balls, and trying to get back on transition.
And you've just seen a lot of hesitancy for Carey, and that's where you got to give a lot of credit. Finally, a shot just gets off the stick of Connor Murray, who we mentioned earlier on. 19 goals on the season, and that's such a rarity for him. You saw that one miss net completely on the year. He's taken 41 shots. 37 of them have been on target. That obviously going down a little bit after this game.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's an amazing percentage. But, I think Carey's going to have to take some of those shots because that's all that Hewlett's giving them right now and see if something can happen from that.
And instead they throw the ball away yet again. Diving after at that time and unable to get there was the freshman Dean Metzger. And Hewlett continues to frustrate this young Carey team.
And but that was an unforced turnover if you think about it. There was no pressure put on by Hewlett that far away from net. So that's just something Carey has to tighten up here in the third quarter.
And they just force you to pass it around for so long. It feels like it's tough just to keep playing mistake-free lacrosse at points.
And Morello wanted that, trying to go around the cage there for a goal, but good defense by Carey.
Another opportunity for Hewlett to just drain time, and you figure Carey at some point going to have to. Would you try something a little more drastic defensively? You see them extending the pressure a little bit now.
Well, I was going to say, one of the guys we haven't mentioned yet that I wanted to give a little love to is Joseph Tadero, number 36. You can't miss him, folks. He's got the neon sneakers there in the middle on the defense, the long pole. He's had a couple of good sticks there on the Hewlett offensive players just a moment ago on Morello and a couple of others I noticed late in the first half. So they have played decent defense.
Yeah, it's more so been that Hewlett's had the ball essentially for 80% of this game.
Right.
We've said it a few times. Carey, a lot of talent across the board. You mentioned Tadero. He was an all-conference performer last season. You can say the same about Matt Gagan, who comes over to help from the midfield. Ben Wetstein, incredibly disciplined, a great leader. He's heading to West Point next year. That's number 28 in orange. Number 31, Nick Cowan. They love his talent as well. Incredible stick skills by him, according to Tom Aiello.
Miller right there with the bounce idea. It wasn't a bad idea, but he bounced it way too soon, so the trajectory went up over the goal. You want that bounce to come a little bit closer to net. Tadero only a sophomore, by the way, Gavin, so Tommy Aiello has a few more years left with his long pole defenseman.
And this Carey team, you just figure you go up and down the line of sophomore, freshman. 2 years down the line, they are going to be just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a younger team that coach may not be so used to. But again, I still think that at the end of the season, I would be surprised if they're not in postseason play. But a little bit of some growing pains.
And that'll continue with Vincent Morello, a flamethrower from about 20 yards out to the opposite side of the cage.
Let's take another look at that one. Yeah, just beating his man. Was that Gagan? Just beating Gagan and firing a shot. That's all it takes sometimes. But you know what, Gavin? Hewlett's had an easier time at that than Carey has today, and that, again, goes to their defense.
Right, well, and they've been able to stretch that Carey defense out a little bit, right? And you see, at least in my mind, Ben, the biggest difference, they're able to create in one-on-one situations, and Hewlett on the other end of the field, they've kind of refused to play that game, operating out of that zone. You always see two guys on one offensive player.
Yeah, Hewlett, everything's working for them right now, folks. If you're a Bulldog fan, you're pretty happy watching this game because they are firing in all cylinders, defensively holding Carey to only 2 goals so far in this game, and offensively, they're really sticking it when they need to. They're finding opportunities to get shots on goal and convert.
And continue to win possession time after time after time. Mark Winkler, such a physical presence in there on net, just took a stick to the knee. And a timeout taken as well. So we'll take a break with it. Hewlett rolling on through the second half. They're up 7-2 over the Carey Lacrosse. Carey Seahawks. It's the Carey Seahawks. They're struggling down 7-2 right now. Again, Gavin Shaw, Ben Turchin here with you at Hewlett High School. And the second half dominance for Hewlett so far. Not necessarily in terms of goal scoring. They've only added one, but they just continue to control possession time and time again. Carey, despite obviously making some adjustments during halftime, doing everything they can to figure out some balance on that side of the field. They've only had one sort of coherent possession over halfway through this third quarter.
Gavin, it's tough. Yesterday we had the Owls, and we also had the Falcons.
Sure. And
then today we got the Seahawks. So I get it's a lot of birds.
Right. No, it's too many, and I'm not familiar with birds in general. If we had more like land-based animals, maybe from the feline family, I would have. Right. I know my tigers. I know my lions.
What about the bulldogs? We got the bulldogs here too.
Bulldog. That's close enough. We get some teams, some Australian shepherds, some golden retrievers. I think it's too many air-based animals for me, and I'm struggling with the concept right now.
Gavin, obviously not a bird watcher or connoisseur.
No, I have friends who are, but I'm not in that category. So Hewlett ball, the Bulldogs. There we go, got that one. And you got to figure they're just going to continue to try and drain time. This is where they're at their most comfortable, and you. At so many points this season, I think I mentioned this in half number one. Jesse Corbin has received calls from other coaches and that are just seeing the results, particularly of some of the early season games they had with such a tough non-conference schedule, knocking off Lynbrook, Oceanside, Locust Valley, back to back to start off the season. The coaches were saying, "How are you doing this? Didn't you guys just lose an All-American from last year? Didn't you just lose your best midfielder from last year?" And Jesse Corbin told all of them, "Look, we just don't make a lot of mistakes. We play really smart lacrosse. We don't beat ourselves." And I think the factor that he didn't add in there is when they build up that lead, they're just able to hold on to the ball bend for large stretches of time, and they can kind of choke the life out of another team.
Hewlett is the kind of team that people call a live team when you get to the postseason. A live team meaning if you're not careful, they can pull off a big upset. So I would be real curious when we get to middle of May. They're going to have to go through a Garden City. They're going to have to go through a Manhasset. And the question is going to be, do they have what it takes to knock off a massive upset? Obviously, we won't know the answer to that for a month, but I think Hewlett would fall under that definition of a team that could pull that off.
Ryan May on the bounce shot. There was a foul on the play, and they're going to count the goal as well. May falling, bouncing, and somehow finding the back of the net.
We have to see this one again. What an unbelievable job by May. Let's take a look at this again. Oh, wow. He just got it around the defender. How'd he pull that one off?
That's an and one. He should get a free shot on top of that.
That is correct.
Took contact, hit the grass. Ryan May, absolutely tough. He's another guy heading on to play college lacrosse next year, going to join his older brother Max at Muhlenberg. And by next season, I should clarify, for the 2020 season, he'll have one more year.
And how about this, Gavin, excuse me, how about this? But they called a foul on Robert Floor, the goalie. I think the goalie stepped out, and I don't even know exactly what he did, even though May's shot was successful. So he has to come out of the game, and the backup goalie, Matthew Mantone, now will have to be in net for the length of the penalty.
Matthew Mantone, just a sophomore. We've talked about it a little bit. Robert Floor having to replace one of the best goalies in school history, Joe Tortorello, last year. Tortorello now playing at Mercy, and it was already a tall task, and now you're without Robert Floor.
Let's see that again one more time. So I want to see what the goalie did there. Let's take another look to see if there was a foul committed there. Keep an eye on 42, folks, for Carey. Let's see what happened there. Oh, yeah, he pushed him, Gavin. You see that? And he led with the forearm right there, too.
That was Alex Ovechkin-esque from Robert Floor. Absolutely vicious. So he's out of the game, and in his place, you said it, Matthew Mantone, the sophomore, coming on at a big stage of this one as Hewlett continues what will almost assuredly be their best offensive performance of the season. 8 goals, already matching their season high in terms of regulation games.
And they're going to let Mantone warm up for a couple of minutes here. Great job, by the way, Steve Ferrandino, our camera operator up top, getting those replay looks, and also Harris Brand doing a nice job as well for our varsity media crew today. Bringing you all the sights here from Hewlett High School. And there you see, once again, we're talking about him, and there's a shot warming up. So he'll get – the only thing we don't know, Gavin, is and if it's releasable. We didn't get the word up here in the broadcast booth, so that's what we don't know here. But he'll get some time to warm up.
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, with that kind of hit, you can justify keeping Robert Floor out of the game for quite a bit. Absolutely taking out the offensive player. Still, you do – I don't know. Tom Aiello might be in vehement disagreement with this, but you do kind of appreciate the physicality from floor, especially when they're losing like that. I mean, trying to fire up your team. Obviously, you don't want it to be that direct. But I don't know. I like the fire a little bit, down by 6 goals.
Yeah.
Obviously, a very frustrating afternoon for him.
Listen, it was a penalty. Was it dirty? I don't think it was dirty. I think it was in the play of the game. And I agree with what you're saying there. You want to be physical. You need some sort of momentum boost, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with playing physical. So I don't believe it was anything dirty. But yes, the referee saw it as a penalty, so he'll have to sit for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I'm sure Floor's biggest regret on that one is that he couldn't save the goal in the process, because that was presumably the intent.
Well, you brought up the basketball analogy, so I'll just throw it right back at you. If you're going to commit a foul, make sure you don't give up the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. What a ridiculous shot by May to somehow find a way to get that to dribble. And it might have been like a Space Jam type scenario where the momentum from the hit is actually what drove the ball into the net. So May trying to tack on another one, doing everything he can to charge net. Checked a couple of times, diving now to try and recover this loose ball. It'll be a scrum, and coming out with it is Rovner, who we have yet to mention much in this second half, working his way towards a hat trick.
And you hear the crowd yelling, shoot it. We failed to mention that not only is the goalie out, but it's a man-up situation. There's the shot.
Falling down was May, unable to get it to go, so standing up in his first test, Matthew Mantone. Good bit of defending there, though he'll be challenged again after the pick by Morello.
And now it's back to even strength for Carey, so they were able to kill the man-down situation. Give Carey credit on that. And we're just not sure how long the goalie will be out for. I don't know if was he ejected from the game. We don't really know up here. And we'll see how long this is going to last for. But keep an eye, that's a storyline right now, Gavin. The backup goalie, hey, we know about backup goalies. We saw one yesterday. It really can change the complexion of your team.
No, absolutely. We were talking about that again and again and again with that Lindbrook team having to play with a backup for essentially the last 5 or 6 games of their season, and it completely changed what they did defensively. A team that came into the year opting to play a high-pressure style, as you see that one bounce high and over the cage by Dean Metzger, and with a freshman in goal, instead they had to play a lot more conservatively, and it really has affected their season.
Well, so far it hasn't affected Carey yet since the penalty happened, but Hewlett hasn't had that many shots on goal. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Again, Matthew Mantone, number 44, in net right now for Carey.
Carey with some rapid-fire ball movement. Again, they've just been unable to draw this disciplined Hewlett group out of their shell. Nice passing, though, there. But again, you feel like they're always one pass away from making something happen and just haven't been able to break that barrier.
And Ferrone's trying to get a shot off, but the defense has been just too good here for Hewlett. Unbelievable job by the Bulldogs.
And again, you got to figure that some of that comes with experience, knowing that extra trick, that extra dodge, just that higher skill level. Maybe shave a second off some of these passes to get some room.
But look at Ian Akrish, by the way, number 16. I mean, every time there's a pass, Ian is sliding back and forth, back and forth. He's going to get a much-needed rest right now coming to the bench. But on that series, unbelievable job by number 16, the starting senior defenseman.
Yeah, and Ian Akrish is such a great story. One of those kids that Jesse Corbin has been coaching since he was in 2nd grade. And Akrish, he played on the junior varsity lacrosse team at Hewlett, then went and ran track for 2 years. And Jesse Corbin, knowing all that they were losing, just came over to him and basically, like I said, I had to recruit him, like almost like a college would recruit a kid. He had to re-convince him to play lacrosse, knowing how special he is with all that speed, all that athletic ability. And now Akrish Sr. has made such a big difference for them defensively. So it was a great win from within his own school by Jesse Corbin.
Right, and you talked about how great this defense is, and you need intensity and will to win and want to, and that you saw epitomized right there by Ian Akrish on that defensive set.
Now Mark Winkler, the freshman, who I've really been impressed by his ability to stay on the ball, has been so essential to Hewlett, especially after those face-offs. A charge towards net doesn't bear fruit initially.
But that was a nice save there by Mantone. His first opportunity goes down low for the save. So how about the sophomore?
He's been doing a really good job in replace in place, of Robert Floor. Was a battle this offseason to replace Joe Tortorello. Obviously, Tortorello Floor with a year advantage in terms of experience on Mantone, but you got to wonder if Mantone could perform well enough in this game. Maybe he could try and convince his head coach, Tom Aiello, that he deserves a shot in goal. So that buzzer signifies the end of the third, 8-2 advantage for Hewlett as they continue to work on their best offensive performance of the season here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We'll head on to the fourth. Fourth quarter underway here at Hewlett High School. The Bulldogs rolling in this one, up 8-2 over the Carey Seahawks. Gavin Shaw, Ben Turchin here with you as we head on to the final 12 here. Doesn't seem like we're going to see Robert Floor again to open this fourth quarter. It's still Matthew Mantone in there, so seemingly Floor out for the game. And we saw a flag right before the end of that third quarter. It looks like an extra man opportunity here for Carey.
Yeah, Carey's up, man up here, and this will be a big opportunity for a goal.
Absolutely needed. At this point, bounce shot between the legs. A magic trick that time when they absolutely needed it most. We've been calling for him all day. Jimmy O'Connell finally on the board.
That's the goal of the year that we've seen on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Hands down. Let's get another look at this. Cutting across the middle. Holy cow.
It was a double five-hole shot. Went between O'Connell's legs and the legs of all-conference goalie Max May.
That's a SportsCenter top 5 if I've ever seen one. Get that highlight to Bristol, folks. That should make it tonight. Unbelievable job by Jimmy O'Connell. But hey, if SportsCenter won't put it on, you can bet you're going to see that on Varsity Media's social media accounts on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us at Varsity Media. That will be posted tonight, guaranteed.
Jimmy O'Connell, just a kid that could not be held in higher regard by Tom Aiello. He says he has exceptional hands, and perhaps his best quality, just such a high lacrosse IQ, really reads the game like a senior as an underclassman. You see that right there. It was the only way he was going to be able to get that shot off, and he put it between his legs and the legs of Max May. Just obscene.
You're telling me a sophomore made that shot? A sophomore?
And that's the story of this whole Carey Seahawks team. Again, just such a young group across the board. So much promise, so much potential. They've run into a well-oiled machine today in Hewlett, but down the road, this team really going to be something special. And even perhaps by the end of this season, with all these guys getting more and more experience.
And things are starting to pick up here in intensity.
You saw that time it was Jesse Corbin running over to get timeout as Jordan Epstein was about to lose it. The Carey bench, they were upset because they thought they had the turnover forced. You see a flag fly.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be on Carey for unsportsmanlike on the bench.
Yeah, just a lot of frustration. Obviously, that goal by O'Connell lit a little bit of a fire under them, a little bit of life that we haven't really seen much from Carey in this game.
Let's see that again. Let's, that goal was so good. Now that we have an opportunity, I think we should see that one more time.
Absolutely.
O'Connell with an unbelievable. Just enjoy this one, folks. Wow.
And the pass was in such a perfect spot as well. It went right over the helmet of Ian Akreesh, who we keep mentioning. He was in really good position yet again there and nearly made another play on that one. And O'Connell, knowing he had just barely a second, but in some ways that goal, I think, almost the ultimate testament to how well Hewlett is playing on defense. You literally have to put it between your legs and the goalie's leg to beat them.
I couldn't agree more, and I was just about to say he had no other option.
Yeah.
I mean, when he came across the middle and he lost his balance a little bit, that's all he could do. It was almost like a Roger Federer baseline save in tennis, that goes past him in that sport, and the same kind of skill level that was on display by Jimmy O'Connell. Just an unbelievable shot. If that's not the goal of the year in Nassau County, I don't know what is. That was unbelievable.
Certainly the best one we've seen in our 3 games. And we've had a couple of good looks. The shot earlier in the game by Sam Rovner was pretty excellent in its own right. We saw a couple of those jump shot goals that were pretty sweet. The little Air Jordan action from from Ryan May. But I don't know, nothing quite topping that 5-hole. We'll call it a 10-hole because it went through 2 pairs of legs from Jimmy O'Connell.
Yeah, there you go. So 8-3 here, only a 5-goal deficit for Carey, and an entire about 10.5 minutes to play here. They are not out of this game, and let's see if the momentum carries through here the rest of the way.
And Hewlett just continuing to play that keep-away style. You wonder at points if they're going to it a little bit too early, maybe a tiny bit too conservative for the Bulldogs. But again, this is the way they like to play.
Well, their defense is so good, Gavin.
Yeah, it's hard to question it. Yeah.
Their defense is so good. They've only given up 3 goals here, and one of the goals, like you said, was a acrobatic goal. So their defense has been lights out, and they feel like they can hold and sit onto this ball. What's the rush at this point in the fourth quarter? Well, one thing I would say, if Hewlett is thinking about putting some shots on goal, is that you do have an inexperienced goaltender in there right now who didn't start this game. That would be one thing you'd think about.
Yeah, Rovner, a really nice setup for Morello, who couldn't quite handle that pass initially. If not, he would have had a great look on net. Miller's been largely quiet in this second half.
And Carey's going to have to come up with something defensively here to cause some turnovers, at least get the ball on the ground. As you see, they're coming up and pressing a little bit on the man. But that's what they need to do to get the ball back, because they need some possessions offensively.
And that's Jordan Epstein's specialty, the ability to just keep the ball away from the defense. And it's really great by Jesse Corbin, because he has this ability to utilize guys who aren't necessarily the most dynamic offensive players, but he says, hey, I have a role for you. You work really hard just on cradling the ball and not giving it up. That's something I need in my offense, and it's a role that a lot of guys have filled to perfection, and I think it's part of the reason why Hewlett is so consistent year after year after year making the playoffs for the last decade. It's because they always have those reliable guys who just play exactly the way Jesse Corbin asked them to. Gianni Miller, again, haven't said his name a whole lot in the second half. His season last year was really underrated, able to make all conference despite missing half the season with an injury. Gives you an idea of what kind of talent he is as he tries to loft a pass inside to Rovner. Rovner, great hustle to almost win it back, but it looks like the long pole, McGrath, is going to be the man who comes up with it. Excuse me, that's Ben Wetstein, setting to West Point next year.
Ooh.
And again, you see why he's on defense there, unable to complete that pass to Jimmy O'Connell. Really essential for the efforts of Carey to come up with this one, and they do.
Right. I don't know if O'Connell didn't see that pass, because I thought it was on target for him. But it doesn't hurt Carey, as they now have an offensive possession. And Gavin, with about 8 minutes to play here, this is crucial. You almost have to come up with a goal here on this possession.
Yes, I'll apologize to Ben Wetstein there, because couldn't quite tell whose fault it was, but it seemed like a prime opportunity missed and just a miscommunication between him and O'Connell.
But give him credit, because they did come up with the ground ball turnover on the defensive side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the initial part of that play was great. O'Connell seemingly had a lane for a second, but Hewlett's positioning continues to be sublime.
Gagan fired a shot a second ago that went wide. He is not shy about firing those shots, and I think that's exactly what Carey needs to do.
Gagan, the first 2 goals of the day for Carey. Had the opening goal for both teams in this one, so a bullet there missed.
You almost wonder.
By Ferrone.
Sorry, Gavin. You almost wonder if just the presence of Max May has caused Carey to alter their shot selection.
Other factor, just haven't been able to get very close to net. That one bounced high by Connor Murray. It's been incredible. I mean, obviously that one just really, really special shot from O'Connell, but just how quiet him and Murray have been. Those two combined for 54 points on the season and just have one, as best as I can tell. Maybe I'm missing an assist or two, but I only 1 goal between the two of them in this one.
Right. Again, Hewlett's defense has been on target. They've had chances. Oh, see, another opportunity and just couldn't bring it down and stick. But on that offensive, that wasn't a bad offensive possession for Carey. If you're Coach Aiello, you could live with that. Shots on goal, had some chances, just didn't find the net.
And one of the first times they've been able to get a cutter in front of net, as Epstein doing a nice job finding that one. Got hit right in the face mask there by Patrick McGrath. See the Hewlett coaching staff running out to check up on Epstein. And you see now Hewlett trying to, or you don't see, but right outside a screen, the Hewlett coach is talking to an official now trying to figure out why that wasn't called a foul.
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was a physical play. Now, whether or not that should have been a foul, perhaps. Maybe the referees missed it, but I didn't think it was intentional there.
A little bit of a stick to the neck there, or at least that's what it seems like the injury is. So no timeout. We're going to get right back to action here. The officials continue to try to negotiate this situation with Hewlett.
Yeah, it seems to be some confusion here.
And hey, you know what? I mean, maybe you could say that the Carey defense is playing with a level of renewed intensity, but a little bit of an underrated storyline. You got to give Matthew Mantone some credit. I mean, Robert Floor, the starting goalie, gave up 8 goals in just under 3/4 of play, and obviously Hewlett playing a different style at this point, trying to keep it away more than to really push it in. But since Mantone has come into the game, they have not allowed another goal.
Right, and he has a couple of saves. One in particularly that was very nice, going down on his knee for a save opportunity. So, yeah, I give him credit. I think you're right on that. And I think the momentum had changed a little bit. I think also off the penalty. And I think you also have to give Floor some credit, too, because of his aggressive penalty maybe woke the team up a little bit.
Certainly seems like they played with more intensity on the defensive and offensively. Still not able to put much together outside of that one shot by O'Connell.
Yeah, well, listen, you have a great offensive team coming into play here, and they could only muster 3 goals. You obviously know that the defense showed up to play today, and you got to give Jesse Corbin, his staff, and the defense a ton of credit in this one today. They have locked down the Seahawks throughout the contest.
It's really, the zone just does not give up a lane to shoot more often than not. There's just not space. You always see 3-4 white jerseys in front of you.
And right now, this is Carey's smallest scoring output of the season. If the score holds, this will be their fewest amount of goals in a game. So talk about a defensive performance by Hewlett.
Yeah, and Hewlett, conversely, 1 goal away from their best offensive performance in a regulation game on the season. So just a total team effort for these Bulldogs, getting it done on both ends with just over 5 minutes to go in this one and a 5-goal lead.
Hewlett will travel to Long Beach after this one. That'll be a big game for both teams, big contest, and then home again for Garden City. And I think that's going to be their test, Gavin. I mean, look, they played Manhasset. They lost 15-8. Garden City's the same type of team as Manhasset. And that Hewlett will learn where they stack up here in Class B after that game for sure.
And Hewlett, you're just kind of waiting on the year. A lot of people thought it would maybe be when they had a guy like Alex Ferdaro, one of the best talents in school history, where Hewlett can sort of break through that elite tier as another prime opportunity on net falls flat. It looked like Michael Ferrone, no one near him, but just unable to snatch that pass. And Hewlett, seemingly every year they make the Final Four. They're right in that mix, and yet unable to get past Garden City or Manhasset, whoever the team of that season is.
Right.
They're just one step short year after year after year, and maybe this is the group that's shown off so much toughness, if not this year, maybe next, because so many of these key players for Hewlett are juniors. You wonder if they're going to figure out a way to reach that next level.
Well, I think if they play the defense that they played today against those teams, they're going to be in the mix for any game they play, including postseason. The defense has been shut down today the entire day. I mean, again, we said it, outside of that acrobatic goal by O'Connell, they've held Carey to 2 goals today. That's very impressive.
Right, having a great goalie like Max May, obviously that great equalizer, that even if you don't have the talent across the board of one of the teams we just mentioned, now you finally see the flag fly, and a second flag fly.
Yeah, Tyler Dow's going to get 2 penalties, and he might get thrown out of the game. That's just frustration on the part of Carey. You know, down 8-3, can't get anything going offensively. That's all that is. You know, I hate to see that, but you understand it, Gavin, because they're playing so hard, they're playing their hearts out, and it's just not working out for them today.
Yeah, checked Aiden Arad the first time that drew the penalty, and then just basically threw him into the grass on the second, which drew the second flag. So with 3:35 to go, a lot of aggressiveness from the Seahawks, not all of it paying off. Another infraction, and we'll take a quick break on the Varsity Media Sports Network. So 2 penalties go against the Carey Seahawks. They'll be down a man, down by 5 goals. In the closing minutes of this one, again, a dominant effort for Hewlett.
Yeah, I actually think that they called Hewlett with a penalty as well. Aiden Arad, number 27. So I think things will be even, but then Hewlett will have a man advantage after this, whether it's a minute or 30 seconds. We'll see when the 2 players release. But eventually you're going to get a Hewlett man-up situation here.
It was 2 against Carey, that double push right along the sideline that ended up with Arad actually in the dirt. So it's interesting, maybe Arad retaliated, and that's why you saw the penalty, or rather the infraction against Hewlett. All
right, so we're playing 5-on-5 lacrosse right now, and then you'll see 6-on-5. So a little bit more open space here, and I don't know if that's going to lead to a Hewlett goal, because I don't know how aggressive they're going to play right now, especially at even strength. I think they might wait until there's that release and they go man up.
Yeah, with how congesting that Hewlett defense has been, Carey, you kind of figured they would have liked to have played the whole game this way. Maybe they should have tried to bait Hewlett a little earlier, started a fist fight at midfield, gotten 2 guys ejected, because it could have been a completely different game for Carey with a little bit more of an open field. But Hewlett, as you said, this kind of plays into their hands in terms of their ability to just take time off the clock.
Right.
It's really hard to double team in a 5-on-5 situation, I would figure.
Right, yeah, this is going to be a difficult situation for Carey right now. Obviously, you have to play aggressive, but too much space here in the open field. Hewlett's got some speed, as we see it right there, by Jordan Epstein to get away from the defender. So they're gonna be very content to let the clock roll here as we approach 2.5 minutes. And there's the release. And now Hewlett's man up.
Yeah, so EMO time for the Hewlett Bulldogs with Vincent Morello charging onto the field. You see how extended this Carey defense is? That's sort of been the great question for them this season. How often do you apply pressure? Because they know against some of the better teams they play, whether it was Garden City or Massapequa, it came back to bite them when they had applied pressure, a little overexposed, and those teams would just pick them apart. And I think they kind of figured against Hewlett this was a team that, while Tom Aiello has a lot of respect for Jesse Corbin's group, they could be a little bit more aggressive defensively. As you see the turnover by Morello there, so good bit of defending, down a man by Carey. And yet Hewlett has sort of done the same thing. Whenever Carey's gotten out of position, whenever they've been a little bit too aggressive trying to force a turnover, Hewlett's been able to take advantage of it, find some space, and put it in the back of the net.
They have been successful at that the entire game, and it's going to lead to a victory here as we approach about 1:40 to go. But the 5-goal deficit is going to be too much, especially with Hewlett man up. So unfortunately, Carey's going to drop their 7th of the season, and their schedule doesn't get any easier. At MacArthur next, they've got Manhasset on the schedule. They've got Syosset on the schedule. They have Long Beach. They have to go to Southside. Gavin, that is a very difficult schedule in Conference B and Class B for Carey. It doesn't get any easier for Tom Aiello and these Seahawks.
No, I mean, it's been a trial by fire for this Carey team this year, especially given the youth of the group. I know we mentioned it time and time again, but I really think it's worth reiterating, because a lot of times when you have so many underclassmen, that can kind of become the story of your season, and yet long-term, you got to imagine as soon as next year they're going to be, if not on top of this conference, one of the better teams in it with all the talent they have across the board. Guys like Jimmy O'Connell still have 2 years of eligibility, and you see some of that talent right there. Another underclassman, Michael Ferrone, putting in the shot bottom right quadrant that time as he picks up his 25th point and 12th goal of the season.
The Southpaw finally gets one on goal, and you knew you were going to shut out Ferrone the entire game. And there you go. It's a nice-looking shot by him, his first of the day.
2 defenders charging at him, just put the ball where they weren't. Easy does it for Michael Ferrone.
And, Gavin, we've got a tall order here with 50 seconds to go. I don't know who our Igloo Lacrosse player of the game is going to be. On the Hewlett side, you've got 4 players, each with 2 goals. They've balanced the scoring today. It's going to be a very difficult decision.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we have like a Voltron of the Hewlett defense and just give it to about 5 or 6 guys? Because, I mean, to me at least, that was sort of the most valuable collective group for Hewlett, but presumably we'll have to pick one of the goal scorers, and we will figure that out.
No, actually, you do bring up a very good idea. The defense has been locked down. Perhaps they are deserving. As a unit, the defense has been beyond impressive today.
You know, I've always dreamed of breaking precedent in some form of my life. This would be a great place to do it. Igloo Lacrosse Player of the Game, turning it into a unit award. That'd be something. One for the resume for sure.
Trendsetter Gavin Scholl here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Yeah, that's why I do it, Ben.
That's why we pay the big bucks.
Yeah, exactly. 30 seconds to go. Hewlett got to figure they're just going to hold on to this one and draw out the clock. They got up to 8 goals with about a minute left in the third quarter. It tied their highest total in a regulation game on the season. Not able to add on to it, but haven't needed to because of the brilliance of that defense that is just so disciplined. And if there's one thing you need to understand about this Hewlett team, and Jesse Corbin really emphasized it when talking to him, these kids listen to exactly what he wants them to do, and they execute it flawlessly. It's a coach's dream, and Hewlett continuing to have a dream season. They move on to 7-3 on the year. This young Carey group drops to 3-6.
Well, what can you say, folks? 8-4 Hewlett with a big victory. There you see Sam Rovner there as he's put 2 goals. He was a big help in the game today. I guess we'll wrap this up, take a break, and we'll come back with what we think is our player of the game. And we'll also give you our next coming game and the remaining part of the schedule. So a lot more to do. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back right after this here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
So we are back, an 8-4 win for the Hewlett Bulldogs over the Carey Seahawks. Gavin Shaw, Ben Turchin, and it's time for our Igloo Player of the Game, which is a little bit of a misnomer today, Ben.
Yeah, our Igloo Lacrosse Player of the Game. We're going to give it to the entire Hewlett defense. Why not? They're very deserving. They played an outstanding game, held Carey to over only 4 goals today. Carey, a very good offensive team in their own right. Hewlett played great. We can't give it to an offensive player because four kids each scored 2 goals, so we can't do that. And obviously, the defense was very well deserving. So how often do we give an opportunity to recognize an entire group? We decided to do it right here. So our Igloo Lacrosse Player of the Game, congratulations, the entire Hewlett defense.
Yeah, and they absolutely deserve credit. Very rare, at least for lacrosse novices like us, you notice an individual defender that stands out, but we are savvy enough to see when a unit puts it all together and has a great performance. So before we head out, Ben, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We have an excellent game coming up just tomorrow, capping off a great week. We mentioned yesterday Locust Valley, a big win over Lynbrook today. Hewlett, a big win over Carey. And to cap it all off, perhaps the game of the week, Farmingdale at Bethpage. That one promises to be highly exciting.
Yeah, and a very big cause tomorrow, the Army Ranger Fund. There'll be a lot of festivities going on at Bethpage tomorrow. So if you can't be at the game, we hope that you can join us tomorrow at 4:30. That is a 4:30 start, confirmed at Bethpage High School tomorrow. And obviously, we'll bring you all the action here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. That's a big boys lacrosse showdown. And then after the break, we'll be gone for a little bit with the spring break, and then we'll come back with a great matchup on the 29th of April, Wantagh at Cold Spring Harbor, under the lights, 7 o'clock. On May 1st, Syosset at Massapequa, another boys showdown at 6. On May 3rd, Wantagh at North Shore. That's a girls matchup, and then we finish the regular season at Floral Park. On May 8th at 4:45, Locust Valley. We saw them yesterday, 15 goals against Lynbrook. We'll see them again to wrap up our regular season, and we should let our fans know we do intend to have some playoff games as well, and that starts, I believe, May 13th. So we'll find out that schedule and bring that to you as well. So a lot more games coming up. We hope that everybody sticks with us. We hope you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Varsity Media, and our camera operator, Steve Ferrandino, telling me not only subscribe, but click the bell notification, Gavin.
I wouldn't have known it.
I wouldn't have known that either. So all this technology out there on YouTube, if you click the bell, you'll be notified of when our live stream starts. So if you forgot about a game, it's on your phone, you click that bell, you'll be updated to when we're going live.
So a lot of things to look forward to in the Varsity Media Sports Network. For Ben Turchin, for our entire crew, I'm Gavin Shaw, signing off from Hewlett High School. An 8-4 win for the Bulldogs. They move on to 7-3 on the season.